जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और आज मैं आपके साथ लाया हूं एक बहुत ही बेहद खास मेहमान, अ वेरी वेरी लर्नड ऑफिसर, an officer and a scholar, I would say, who served in the Dogra regiment with pride. Incidentally, I was ADC to Dogra General, General Manbir Singh Dadwal, and who has had, in fact, Colonel Yogandar Singh has had various staff and command appointments. He has commanded a Rashtriya Rifles battalion in the valley. He has fought counterinsurgency, put his life at stake on several occasions, and defended our national frontiers in the states of Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast. He is a very learned officer, and incidentally and interestingly, he's also my neighbor in a place called Shanti Vihar in Gurgaon. And interestingly, ironically, well, we'll come to it. We'll come to that. But right now, Colonel Yogandar Singh has got a lot of insights about a whole lot of issues. About the issue means not problems. Issues means a solution, rather, I would say, about which are very much required, which is the need of the hour, need of the moment, and we will hear it straight from the horse's mouth. A very learned officer, a scholar, an officer, and a gentleman. Sir, thank you very much for spending time, sir. Good morning and welcome, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, Ali, and thank you, Sher, for such a wonderful introduction. Today, let's discuss the issue of human resource management in the army. It's a live topic nowadays. In fact, it was within the organization, it was always a live topic. It's live topic nowadays in the country because of government's proposal, which as per the press reports, the government is very keen on pushing through the proposal of tour of duty, wherein what we know from open sources, the plan is to induct for 3 to 5 years as soldiers and thereafter leave them to go back and try some other profession without any liability on either side. That is, government has no liability to look after them in terms of pension or other ex-servicemen facilities, and they do not have any reserve liability. So, to my mind, this is a suboptimal solution for the simple reason that it does not address the most important factor in human resource management, that is the emotional needs of the employee. A soldier fights for multiple reasons. One of them is definitely pay and the job security. The other is his sense of belonging, which develops over a period of time, develops by serving in both hard and the so-called peace areas together, working as part of a team. One develops the affiliation with the team. And also, most important, militarization of the psychology, which is a recognized fact that it takes a long period for a boy or a girl from civil stream to be attuned to the military environment. It doesn't come easy because these two environments are defined by diametrically opposed requirements. In one, the individual is the center. In the other, organization and the task is at the center. So these things develop over a period of time. Training, as the weapon systems and other things are becoming more complex, so is the need for a person to not only get initial training, but also to work repeatedly so as to reach higher standards of skills required. Why I'm talking of skills and not concepts? Because today my focus is going to be junior commissioned officers and jawans. Now, this is the individual's requirement, but we cannot ignore the other requirements. most important is from the government side, what can they pay for the defense?
Right.
There has been a long debate starting from beginning, that is the 1947, the army was reduced. The standing army was brought down to less than 2.5 lakhs, but then 1962 came and there was a sudden expansion. Now we cannot go about doing it like that. That's not the right way to do. But on the other hand, the government does not have an unlimited purse, so to say. Ninth Pay Commission had said that 3% is the max country can provide for the defense. 3% of the GDP. Now, this 3% by the military experts was taken as available for the regular component of the military, while the government has taken it as total available for both kind of liabilities, that is the standing establishment liabilities as also the pensionary liabilities. So today we are at a stage where the standing army or navy air force combined get something like near about 2%, and 1% plus goes for pensionary requirements. Now, this is the second concern. First was individual soldiers' requirement. Second is this monetary one. The third is the constraints imposed by the security environment of the country.
Right.
Today, we don't have to repeat the fact. It has been brought home quite well by the happenings over last year, when our ongoing hostility with the Western neighbor was there, but the line of actual control also became disturbed. And the army had to induct, as per open sources, something like a core strength, that is around 50,000-60,000 troops into Ladakh. Now, considering, and this is happening while army remains engaged in counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism operations, both in J&K as also in Northeast. And there are periodical demands to for the army to go in to the Naxal-infected areas also. And the fourth factor is our commitments on the international scale. After all, we want to be an influential member of the UN. So if we want to be an influential member of UN, our engagement in both peace building and peacekeeping operations has to continue. Today, I think Indian Army is deploying about 2 brigade strengths there. I think that requirement will remain because world remains unstable place. The point I'm making that overall, when we say, broadly speaking, when we use the term 2.5 front commitment for the army, that is quite near to the truth. The army does need...
General Bipin Rawat, CDS, had mentioned India is ready for a 2.5 front war. One side China, one side Pakistan, on the other side internal insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. And he was so right. Sir.
So 2.5 front means you cannot be attacking on all fronts. So a prudent approach would be, we say that, all right, we'll hold against one adversary and go on the offensive against the other one. So if we take that, we will hold in the Himalayas and go on the offensive in West.
So with your permission, actually, I wasn't feeling well. I have just taken some medicine. So this is a medicine. Don't think it's a drink. It looks like a drink early morning. So with your permission, could I just sip it, sir? Sir, please.
And even if it was a drink, after all, we all are mature grown-ups. And the
Love
government
that, sir.
earns a lot. We are
Love that.
contributing to the exchequer by buying a drink.
Sir, sir. Sir, sir.
So anyway, I hope you get well very soon.
Thank you, sir. This is an
So
energy
we
drink,
were,
actually, sir. Sir,
we will definitely get together for a proper drink.
sir, sir.
So now, so that's the security environment where we need capability to fight a 2.5 front threat. Now, somebody may say that it may not materialize. Well, that will be wonderful if our diplomacy can prevent such situation. But in past, we had the experience, the most recent one being the last year, that diplomacy needs a backup. Diplomacy cannot be just words. It has to be a deterrence which is seen and felt by the adversary. So in 2016, I wrote a book.
Sir.
This is the book, Future Ready Army.
Sir, sir.
Now, and in its introduction, I claimed, which I think is a very fair claim, that this
Sir,
is
could you
the
show the
first
cover
book.
once again, sir? The cover is very intriguing. I'm sure our viewers would love to see the cover more in the frame, sir. Sir. And the back of the book as well, sir. Sir. Sir.
So this book, I had made a claim, which I stand by even today, that this is the book which is the first book which deals with the nuts and bolts of creating a future-ready army which can perform these tasks which I have discussed over last couple of minutes, that it can provide a 2.5 front capability. It can provide its soldiers certain amount of surety about the job and the growth potential, and can do all this within 3% of GDP, including the pensionary commitments. So to arrive at the size of this force, I have used numerical preponderance model. Now, this is a well-recognized model world over, which says that if you want to go on offensive against some adversary, you need 1.5 to 2 ratio, 1.5 to 1 ratio. And if you have to conduct holding operations against an adversary, then 1.1 or 0.8 to 1 will suffice. Now, based on this numerical preponderance model and taking the strengths of our most probable adversaries into factoring it into the model, I have arrived at an overall strength of 14.5 million, 1.4 million strong army. Now, that would be about 2 to 3 lakh more than the present.
Sir.
So if we increase the regular army to 14 lakh, then we are defeating the very purpose of creating
Correct,
an army within those financial constraints.
Correct, sir. Correct.
So the book provides the answer as to how to do it while keeping within the fiscal constraints and creating an organization which is capable of operating in super high altitude of Himalayas, deserts of Thar, as also in the malaria infested areas in the northeast.
So that is very, very interesting, sir. I'm so sorry to interrupt there, sir. I would like to know slightly more details about your book, sir, because I am itching to lay my hands on it and read it myself. So before we proceed with what you are saying, sir, I would like to know a bit more about your book, sir.
Okay, this book is laid out in about 9 chapters.
Sir.
First chapter looks at the military strategy, because to create an organization, you need to have a strategy in place on which we base the organizations and structures.
Right.
If our strategy is just to be defensive, as it seems today, and which I am very against, then we create nearly static organizations like what we call as pivot cores, which
Right.
and we create a logistic model which cannot go beyond 100 kilometers or something like that.
Sir.
And I would prefer expeditionary force, which is capable of operating at longer distances. So that's the kind of military strategy I have proposed.
Right, sir.
Based on that military strategy, this military strategy, like I brought out, deals with 2.5 front war, with the half front being the internal security and two fronts being two major most probable adversary. Adversary can be anyone, not only
Right.
these two, but
Right.
for
Correct.
foreseeable future, it is hoped that we remain restricted to these two only and don't
True. True, sir.
issue any more issues. But you never know. Today, Sri Lanka is blowing up, and tomorrow there may be a need to peace build for
Sir,
peace building in Sri Lanka.
a lesson
I,
learned for
I
the
am,
entire world community. If you make friends with a snake, if you harbor snakes in your backyard, the snakes will come and bite you. They made the
yeah,
mistake of taking loans from China. And when they couldn't
yeah,
repay it back, look at this. China has actually taken their port on 99-year-old lease. Well, give you the claim on it. And
yeah,
now
yeah.
the situation, the Rajapaksa brothers are determined. There are protests going on. Yesterday, 5 men lost their life. 5 people, 5 peaceful protesters. They lost their lives.
You see,
And
you see,
it
so
is
far, the
it's bad.
saving grace is that in Sri Lanka, they have not started attacking all politicians.
Correct, sir.
But the
Correct.
way the way anarchy is building up, tomorrow, if the entire political class comes under stress and the anarchy spreads to all the areas and all those fissures come up, then it is India which will be required to go in, build peace, both provide humanitarian assistance because the people are protesting because they are hungry. So we have to provide humanitarian assistance. Also, bring the law and order back. So this may be a requirement, and I do hope that Military Operations Directorate is working on it, which I'm sure they would be. Anyway, coming back to the book. So we have a military strategy which is based on concept of deterrence. So, and it takes into consideration fiscal constraints and proposes. In this, I propose an army, a mix where territorial army, which so far has been kept dormant, is given greater role. And thereby, as it takes on greater role, the requirement for regular component can reduce. So we can
Makes
have a 1.4 million army when the need arises, but the regular component can be kept below 1 million.
makes sense, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the overall concept which in this book I have tried to propose and then implement. So then next we come to the strength and composition. Based on this military strategy, I have then taken the numerical preponderance model and applied to the probable force levels which China or Pakistan can bring against us. And I'm not beating my own drum, but the fact is, last year brought it out. This book was written 2016. The happenings in last year in Ladakh have brought out that what I assessed to be their force levels applicable in Ladakh came true.
Of course, sir.
So my model to that extent not only has withstood the theoretical modeling, but has also been seen to be nearer to the reality by the last year's happening.
So इस book का
Based on
आप
this,
इस book की photograph, I asked you for a photograph earlier. आप
I'll
इस
give you a
book की
copy.
नहीं copy. Thank you, sir.
My
Very sweet of
evening
you.
walk, I'll give you a copy.
Thank you, sir. Very very sweet of you.
Don't worry.
Sir,
So the next,
इस book की एक photograph आप मेरे को WhatsApp कर देगा. इस book
definitely.
की cover की photograph, which I would like to put
Yeah,
as a
I'll do.
thumbnail. Which I would like to put as a thumbnail of our conversation. Because by default, जो thumbnail था वो चला गया. Though I'd asked you for a picture, but by the time it was too cutting it too fine. So I would like to put a thumbnail of this book as a please.
So they, based on this, to control and apply this strength and this composition, I have also suggested as command and control structure. In that, what I have said is that I am a big supporter of Chief of Defense Staff concept. In fact, I would like to go a step further and call him Commander-in-Chief of India, who has the responsibility for operations of all three. And the respective service headquarters, like in this case, Army headquarters, focus on internal security, training, education, and building up the sustenance of the force. Application of the force remains in the hands of theater commands and the Commander-in-Chief or CDS. So that is the next chapter. Coming to the chapter thereafter, the organizations like the Corps, Operational Maneuver Group, integrated battle groups instead of the brigades have been proposed. A clear demarcation has been done between static establishments. We need static establishments like area, sub-area, station headquarters. Today, they are being made the responsibility of the field formations. The corps commanders are being given the station headquarters also under command, the sub-areas under command. A terrible concept. We should go back to Kitchener in the beginning of the 20th century. He had divided them because it was an operational need. You cannot tie down the field force into the base operations.
Very true,
the
sir.
base operations should clearly go to territorial army.
True, sir. True.
So this is another major recommendation which my book makes. Not only recommendation, I give out a layout of areas and sub-areas whereby we can execute this model. Then we come to the nitty-gritties of human resource management, that is the intake and terms of junior commissioned officers and jawans.
Right.
Now, this is the proof of pudding. Like so far we are talking of the pudding. Now this is the pudding coming on the table. So what I am focusing on here is firstly the uniqueness of soldiering as a profession. Like I had said in the beginning at the introduction of this talk, that soldier does not get created overnight. Soldier gets created over a period of time. You have to militarize a civilian mind to start with. Then you have to teach him certain skills which are unique to the army. They are not taught in the civil. Then those skills have to be refined over a period of time. And most importantly, those skills are performed as part of a team. The soldiers do not perform individually. They form part of a team and those skills are performed as part of a team. So for him to fit in as an efficient member of a team takes time. He has to psychologically get attuned to the team. The team has to accept him as a productive and worthy member. Regimentation, as we talked. So it doesn't get built up in 3 years or something like that. You have to have a longer engagement period. The man has to feel part of a wider family. And then only he will be comfortable enough to go with this peer group into harm's way. So here I also come to the terms of service. Important part, and so far as the civilian aspiring for the army would like to know what are the terms of service the army, my model will offer. My model will offer him 33 years of color service provided he performs his job well and remains disciplined. As also provide him adequate opportunities to rise, provided he meets the standards of the next required for the next step. Well-defined standards. So those things are defined here. Then I talk of the Territorial Army. Now, I don't know why government doesn't understand that this concept of so-called tour of duty is already there in TA.
Right.
A TA soldier comes in for 3 to 5 years. He's holding a job outside. He comes in when required for training or employment purposes. He's paid for that duration. His job is secure outside while he's performing this task, and then he goes back there. This concept is already existing as a territorial. The problem is that territorial army has been allowed to wither on the way. It has been kept there. It is alive for the namesake, but nobody waters it. So now it's just a vein lying on the ground, which doesn't have the leaves.
So when I was in Nagaland, when I was in Kohima, we had this Naga battalion of TA, Home and Hearth.
Yeah.
In fact, General Shah was the deputy chief at that time. He had come on a visit. That time I had visited with him. I was with the Assam Rifles, but he had come for a raising day. So I had accompanied him as the LO over there. And they were doing a fabulous job, sir, the TA battalion at the Home and Hearth. Also, what I've seen, the TA battalion, the Garhwal battalion was there in Masuri, sir. The ecological battalion, they were doing a very, very good job, in fact.
They do a wonderful job everywhere. In Valley, the TA battalion, whatever task they are being given, they are performing well. But the problem which I am alluding to is that when India became independent and the first scheme for the defense of India was given to the government of India by the then commander-in-chief, who happened to be a British, it was recommended that TA will form 40% of the regular total army.
Right.
And TA at that time was an all arms, all services organization. It had engineer regiments, it had signal regiments, it had armored regiments. Air defense was more or less TA. And it had infantry component. Today it only has infantry component.
Correct, sir. Correct. You're right.
All other components have been allowed to wither away.
You're right, sir. You're right.
Now, TA, we need to bring back that concept which exists. It has legal sanction. There is a TA Act in force. The government doesn't have to do anything new. The rules exist. It just has to update the rules where they are falling short in terms of human resource management. They can be tweaked to become better. But the TA can be given greater responsibility, especially for the internal security tasks, like Rashtriya Rifle can be part of the TA. For the ecological tasks, they have already proven themselves to be wonderful, as also to man base organizations, which we call as static organizations, areas, sub-areas, stations. Today, we are doing a, self-defeating thing, that we have reduced the numbers required in a station, but then are pooling the regular component time and again to do that job, because that job needs to be done even today. So now we are taking out the regular component. And in case of a mobilization, let's say a unit going for field firing, has to leave a large component behind for those station tasks, which remain important or ongoing even during that period. TA can be given that task, it can perform this task at less cost and in a more efficient manner. Insofar as the regular component is concerned, like I said, we have to give the new inductee 33 years guarantee, provided he holds his part of the bargain, that he remains disciplined, well trained. Now, how do we do it? Simply put, let's take an infantry battalion. We can't have a soldier of 40 years. Is not possible in today's environment. It will adversely affect the operations. Correct. Even JCO, I would not like to have, and my model proposes that even JCO should be out of after doing his mandatory tenure.
So have you presented a copy of your book to the chief, sir?
I sent it, yes.
All right, sir.
And here I must say that at least General Bipin
Rawat, sir.
His adjutant general wrote back to me to say that they have given the copy to all the departments and the arms head. But I don't know. I have not heard anything beyond that. In fact, I wrote an email to the Raksha Mantri and the PM also that give me 15 minutes, I'll give you a broad presentation because it's possible. Like I was
Absolutely,
talking
sir.
about how it is possible.
Absolutely.
Like if you say that, what I'm saying that take a soldier for 33 years, regular. Now, but combat arms like infantry, armor need the young soldiers. So how do you reconcile? You can't keep him for 33 years in an infantry unit or an armored unit. You have to have the option of intra-army transfer mid-course intra-army transfer.
Right.
For example, a soldier may come in infantry. After 10 years or 12 years, not beyond 12 years, he shifts to one of the logistic organizations, EME, ASC, Ordnance, depending on his aptitude. So, first 10, 12 years, he's been in the infantry or armor. Then next 12 to 15 years, he can be there. So you have arrived at something like 27 years, 24 years to 27 years.
Right, sir.
Now, the balance of the 5 years can be taken care of by increasing the promotion periods within, say, logistic units as compared to regular units. So, like for 12 years in infantry, if he's Sepoy for 6 years and Lance Naik for 6 years, there he goes and he can be in 9 years. 9 years as a Naik, 9 years as a
Makes sense. Sir. Makes sense.
as a Havaldar and so on. And
Makes
finally,
sense.
then there are other establishments like Defense Services Corps, DSC,
Sir,
which guard static. Now,
sir.
this can be streamlined. Today it is, if a soldier on completion of 15 years wants to go to DSC, he can apply.
Sir,
Why don't you, why
I'm
don't
so
we
intrigued. So I'm so
mix
intrigued
it?
and I'm so enjoying my conversation with you, sir. I would love to have continued with this on. So I have to be just live on Times Now just now. So they're calling. I had given them a time of 9:40. I'll just log in there, sir. I'm really very grateful to you to spare your time, sir. And we will have one more session, sir. We will discuss
Yeah,
about
yeah,
your
we'll have.
in detail on this, sir. Sir,
Yes, we'll continue the session in the
we
next
can take this.
sitting. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, if
Thank
you
you.
have access to Times Now
And I
right
also
now,
thank the listeners or the audience for being considerate and joining us.
ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, boys and girls, everybody, it was a very impromptu, spontaneous session where I'm guilty of the fact that I took the liberty of calling my senior. I said, sir, अभी आ जाइए आप लाइफ है, अभी नहीं तो कभी नहीं, and let's not procrastinate, let's do it. And sir was very kind, generous, magnanimous. He readily agreed. He said, Ali, तुमको मना नहीं कर सकता, आ जाता हूँ. And that is how we happen to get on this. And in fact, my best talks sir, have been like this, which have been unprepared. Normally you structure प्रश्न उत्तर क्वेश्चन आंसर्स वो सर बहुत स्ट्रक्चर हो जाती है. यू डोंट स्पीक फ्रॉम योर हार्ट इन दैट. तो प्रश्न उत्तर वो स्कूल के सवाल जवाब प्रश्न उत्तर हो जाते हैं ना, वो बात हो जाती है. And this was like straight from the heart, sir. I loved it, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Grateful to you, sir. Sir, if you have access to Times Now, please switch on, sir. I'll be live in a minute with them, sir.
Okay, definitely.
Jen, sir.
Bye. Good day.
Jen, sir.
Good day. Have a nice time.
Thank you, sir. Jen,
Thank
sir.
you.